Jimmy Butler is finally on his way out of Minnesota. Thank God for Jimmy Butler, who could not wait to leave, who could not wait to get traded, and he finally does. What is going on, y'all? Fast Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA here to talk about the Jimmy Butler trade, the blockbuster trade that occurred between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Philadelphia 76ers. Here to break down the trade for you guys, talk about all the details, talk about who won this trade, who lost this trade, talk about the effect of, the trade long-term and short-term for both teams. So I'm going to get into my analysis for everything else in between. If you're new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below because I do post a lot of NBA content on this channel, and you are not going to want to miss out. With that being said, let's get started. So as you guys can tell, I'm a Bulls fan, so I got no dog in this fight. I'm going to give you the straight objective analysis, but it also helps that I'm a Bulls fan because I've followed Jimmy Butler's entire career, starting in Chicago, where it began, all the way through when he did get traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and everything else in between with the saga going on with him. So with that being said, let's start with the trade details first, okay? So the Timberwolves trade Jimmy Butler and Justin Patton, who was one of their draft picks, who was been a bust so far. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy, so he's more of a throw-in, really. And Minnesota receives, so Philadelphia is going to trade them Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless, and a 2022 second-round pick. Okay, so those are the full trade details. So now I'm going to break it down first from the Philadelphia side of things, and then I'm going to get into the Timberwolves side of things. So let's start with Philadelphia, who acquires Jimmy Butler. Okay, Jimmy Butler, obviously the main component of this trade, and now you have a big three in Philly. You got Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. So now you're probably boosting a starting lineup out there of Ben Simmons at the point. Jimmy can either play the 2 or the 3. You probably have, either J.J. Redick or Markelle Fultz at the 2 spot, and then slide Jimmy over to the 3. Maybe an Amir Johnson or a Wilson Chandler at the 4, and then Joel Embiid at the 5. So you lose a little bit of depth with Covington and Sarge, but you add star power, which is what you need in this league. And now with this trade, the Sixers officially enter the conversation of title contention, not just in the Eastern Conference, but in the NBA. But for the most part, it's more the Eastern Conference because Kawhi Leonard, the trade the Raptors made for him, that was a game changer in the East because to me, once the Raptors got Kawhi Leonard, that made the Sixers a clear number 3 in the conference behind the Celtics and the Raptors. And now they're back in the conversation. Now we can have a legitimate talk about who is going to win the East between these 3 teams. It's going to be a neck-and-neck race between the Sixers, between the Raptors, and the Celtics. Now, Celtics are the deepest team still. Raptors have the best player out of these 3 teams in Kawhi Leonard, but I do believe that the star power might go to Philly now with Jimmy Butler. You have to understand, Jimmy Butler is a top 15 player in this league. I know his appeal has sort of been, a little damaged with this whole saga and the drama of him wanting out. But best believe Jimmy Butler is a top 15 player in this league and a top 5 two-way player in this league, who can obviously defend both sides. So you take him and you put him on this roster, that's upgrading Robert Covington. Jimmy Butler's a rich man's Robert Covington, a really, really rich man's Robert Covington, who can give it to you on both sides of the ball. And now you've got 3 of your superstars who can all do both sides of the ball. They can all score and defend. Embiid's one of the best defenders as well as one of the best scorers. Jimmy Butler just talked about, and same with Ben Simmons. So that is something I don't think a lot of teams can say in this league, that their superstars are two-way superstars. And the fact that, Jimmy coming in as, obviously the oldest of the 3, he is really going to provide some veteran leadership, some veteran presence to this locker room. We know the type of effect Jimmy Butler has on a locker room, but here's the thing. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, I believe, have tough, thick skin. Certainly thicker than Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, who are not able to put up with Jimmy Butler and his sort of, aggressiveness and what he wanted out of his teammates. You better believe that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons will not have that problem. I believe they will accept Jimmy. I believe they will take on his sort of, tough love type of mentality. And I think it's going to make the Sixers a better team, obviously on paper and obviously in real life. So for the Sixers, I like this trade. You know that you needed another guy to kind of put you over the top, as good as Simmons and Embiid are, and they are really good. You needed another guy to enter that title conversation. Now, if I really was kind of looking at it high level, nobody's still beating the Warriors. But hey, we got to try, right? We got to at least try. Warriors could get hurt. Anything could happen. You needed to make this trade, and you did it. And I like it for the Sixers' perspective. Even though you had to give up Sarge and Covington, that is the asking price for a superstar in this league. And best believe Jimmy Butler is a superstar. And now the Sixers are in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference and have officially entered title conversation. One thing I will ask Jimmy Butler to do, go ahead. If you're going to be tough on Embiid and Simmons, please make Ben Simmons learn how to shoot the damn ball. Just tell him, just take a couple threes in practice, Ben. Just do it. Rag on him like you did with Wiggins and Cat. Would love that. But with that being said, I like this trade from the Sixers' perspective. When you have a chance to win a title and when you have a chance to go after a star, you do it. And that's what the Sixers did. One quick thing I did realize is the Sixers didn't even have to give up the #1 overall pick, Markelle Fultz. So I am curious if they actually did, in fact, offer Fultz. And the Wolves were like, we've seen that jump shot. We will take Covington and we'll take Sarge. So maybe that was the case, but they still got to keep Markelle Fultz, which, again, is big because Markelle Fultz still has potential. And who knows what he can turn out to be in this league, though it's not looking good for now. Let's talk about the Wolves side of things, and let's talk about what this trade means for them and how do I like it. So they got Robert Covington, they got Dario Sarge, Jared Bayless, and a 2022 second-round pick. Not going to talk about Jared Bayless, just a throw-in this trade. He's a draft bust. Covington, Sarge, the main pieces. The 2020 second-round pick, a throw-in. And a lot of people will say, yo, the Rockets were offering 4 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler, and the Wolves took a second-round pick. And this trade package, hear me out here, folks. 4 first-round picks for Texans, for a Rockets team that, could obviously be in the top of the conference, though I know the record isn't showing it now. So you're talking about late first-round picks. You're not talking about the early lottery picks, okay? So keep that in mind here when you talk about the fact that, it's just a first-round pick. You have to put context into it, okay? Is it an early first-round pick or a late one? And the Rockets' first-round picks were all going to be late first-round picks, okay? So now let's take a look at Robert Covington and Dario Sarge. Robert Covington is one of the best 3-and-D players in this league. Very underrated. Nobody talks about him because, like I said, he's overshadowed by Simmons and Embiid. He plays in Philadelphia. And Dario Sarge, another one of the, I would say, young, up-and-coming power forwards in this league. He's just 24, folks. And this is the main part of the trade for the Wolves that I think I liked is I wanted them, initially when I heard about this trade, I was like, oh, they got Covington and Sarge. I wish they were rebuilding with some young pieces. But these guys are young. Dario Sarge is still on his rookie deal, 24 years old. He's a promising upcoming power forward, like I mentioned. Robert Covington, just 27 years old, just signed a 4-year, $62 million deal this past summer, so you get to keep him for 4 years. And now, when you take a look at the fact that how the the Wolves starting lineup is shaping out with Jeff Teague, with, Andrew Wiggins at the 2, Robert Covington at the 3, then you got Sarge at the 4, Cat at the 5. That's a balanced starting 5, folks. And keep in mind, the biggest reason the Wolves made this trade, not just because obviously Jimmy wanted out, was because Tom Thibodeau made it known that whatever trade package they were going to get back for Jimmy, he did not want to rebuild or else he was going to leave. He wanted to stay competitive. And this trade allows them, with these players, to stay competitive and still not sort of sacrifice their future, because these guys are their future, with everybody in their starting 5 outside of Jeff Teague being relatively young. So I like this trade for the Wolves' perspective, as much as you might think this is not equal value in return for Jimmy Butler, because you have to realize you were never going to get equal value for Jimmy Butler when a superstar demands a trade and teams know he has to be traded and that team has to trade him, the value goes down, and it was just going to get lower and lower every single day. So the fact that they were able to even pull this off is pretty impressive. So like I said, Robert Covington, Dario Saric, probably two of the most underrated players in this league. But they're very, very good, and they're going to obviously be immediate starters. The Timberwolves become a balanced team now. Cat is now back to being the superstar of this team. Wiggins, his 1B, and now you get to kind of have the, you know, cancer out of the locker room in Jimmy Butler, and you get to kind of start fresh with these guys. So overall, man, solid trade for the Timberwolves, and I really did not expect that to happen. I thought whenever the Timberwolves were going to trade Jimmy Butler, they were probably going to lose that trade. But honestly, I like this trade a lot for the Timberwolves. I think it makes the roster deeper. It gives control back to your main two guys that you have paid big money to in Cat and Wiggins. And it allows Tibbs to stay competitive in a tough Western Conference. So overall, I think I like this trade from both sides, folks. The Sixers got what they wanted in a superstar, and they enter the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference and in the NBA in general. And the Wolves stay competitive and give the power back to their young studs in Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. So there you have it, folks, my thoughts on this trade. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. As always, thanks for watching.